Well, there we are. We're just dropping you right into it. Justin literally jumped on this call like 5 seconds before I just went live. So, welcome back. Episode 36.
We did it.
We did it. So, what are you drinking tonight?
I don't have anything right now.
Apple juice out of a sippy cup, maybe?
A little bit of that. Just a touch.
Yeah, you got a full house over there this
Squeeze
week, huh?
Squeeze in a quick workout.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. What is it? Oh, I picked up some Basil Hayden that I really like.
Nice. Just like standard Basil Hayden or different type of Basil Hayden?
Whatever Costco had yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just the standard one.
Yeah, Basil Hayden's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm drinking my McKenna tonight.
The restock.
I have 2 of these bottles now. Because I found a place just one town over that sells them for $51. They must have not gotten the memo that these are $100 bottles. So cool.
Well, in California, they are $50 bottles.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe I'm just getting ripped off from my other store.
Dude, I think they have a crazy markup on them.
Maybe New York is just like crazy expensive. It's the place I normally buy is in New York. But yeah. So things are crazy. I can hear that things are crazy over there.
Yeah, this is not meant to be a real podcast. This is meant to be a catch up.
This is meant to be talking about deciding whether we should attempt to buy our second real estate investment.
Right.
That's what this is meant to be. So, backstory for anyone that might be watching, 30 years from now. We closed on our first investment property in Florida, 2 months ago. And we literally just got the lease for the tenant signed today, which, hell yeah, we did it.
That's a great accomplishment.
Electronic payments are set up. They're moving in on the 15th. We're good to go.
It's rented.
And so it just so happens that literally the house next door is going on the market. It's an identical house. It's got one less bedroom, but that's only because they didn't choose to turn the front den into a bedroom by adding a closet in. Otherwise, it's an identical mirror of a house. And they are literally listing it for the exact price that we bought our house for. And the market rent would be roughly what we just rented this house for. So like
the same, yeah.
So we did the numbers on this, and like it's just the same. Like there's a little bit more work to fix this one up. It's it was lived in by an older lady, so it's not near as done up. There's quite a bit of wallpaper. But we had to repaint the entire house that we just bought. So that's not like a massive difference. The kitchen's a little more dated, but not to like an unusable or ugly sort of level. So it's it's a little more dated than the other house, but because we had to fully repaint the other house, I don't think like the rehab's even all that different.
Right.
So the question comes down to, do we attempt it? Because, and this is where the rich dad, poor dad mindset comes in, right? It's
poor dad, rich dad.
Poor dad, rich dad, rich dad, poor dad, rich dad, rich dad, poor dad, poor dad.
Rich dad, rich dad, rich dad.
I didn't have a dad. What?
Okay.
The worst financial book of all time. Oh my God. I'm really tired. I was up late on a podcast last night, and I'm just tired. They started the remodel of our kitchen. I swear we'll get back to the real estate investing eventually. They started the remodel of our kitchen, and today was cut 4 foot by 4 foot holes in the basement concrete day, which is just like on the other side of this wall right there. And of course, it was the day where I had the most meetings today. So, and like at one point, this whole room just kind of filled up with concrete dust. So my allergies are killing me today. I'm tired. Just like,
Did you get like an air filter down there?
no,
You're the air
I
filter.
just sucked it all in. But yeah, so it's been crazy here as well. But back to the rich dad poor dad mindset is I have the cash to put down, assuming our mortgage person can get me approved. That's an assumption. I'm talking to her tomorrow. But assuming that I have the cash to put down. Now, the only thing about that cash is it's kind of earmarked for that kitchen that I just talked about. And by earmarked, I mean committed to, just not having had spent yet. And at the same time, working on selling some shares in the company that I had, small amount, basically to cover the rest of the remodels of the house that we wanted. So, like, it's a weird situation that we're trying to decide between, right? Like, how far sort of. I don't even like the word overextended because I don't feel like it's overextended. It's just maybe
how creative do we want to get
into? Because like I can replenish the money. It just means I have certain less freedoms in my life. Like, no latitude to change any sort of career positions or anything like that anytime soon. So it's possible. I'm on the side of like, let's do it.
It's just so like dry too. I know.
Like, do we have? I'm just wary. I feel like we need to. Like, I just need to know more.
What do you need to know?
Like, what don't we know? Who else can we talk to about this so we don't get overextended?
About what?
Like, what should be our checks to make sure that like we can do it?
Okay. Just let me know. We'll just eat in our
I
like,
can do it.
What is the worst case scenario, and can we?
So if you look back at when
deal with those?
Yeah.
If you look back at when we bought the last house, I said the same thing about it.
Yeah.
Which was?
We bought that house knowing that all the cash that I had was mostly allocated for this kitchen. So currently in the plan, I'm planning to use my M1 borrow account for a large portion of the kitchen because we bought that house. So really, it's not that different of a situation. We just need to use even more of that M1 borrow. But the difference here is I should be having more cash coming in the next month or two. So, like so when I'm modeling this out, right, I modeled my RSUs and my employee stock purchase plan from GoDaddy for this quarter into the kitchen budget that I have, right? And that was all baked in. But what I haven't baked in is my February and March payouts. So in February, I'm getting paid out $20,000 in RSUs from GoDaddy. So that is definitively coming in, unless for some reason I got fired by then, but I highly doubt that happens. And then there's like 5 to 10 in March. And then like that happens every quarter from here on out, basically. So it's not a matter of like, we would commit to this and I have no idea how we're going to pay the money. It's we would commit to this and I just got to balance things a little bit more until it gets backfilled, I have to carry maybe a little more debt for a period of time that I wasn't expecting, but it's low interest debt.
And like the way
now, if I carried all this debt and then the market dumped 70%, that would be bad. But if the market dumps 70%, it's bad for everyone.
Yeah. How big was the dump in March? Was that like 30? Or was it more?
Maybe. It definitely didn't hit half of my portfolio. You know, even fully maxed out on the M1 borrow, you don't get a margin call until you're down like 50%, I think.
Yeah.
Also, the way I look at it is putting an offer in is zero risk.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because that's the other thing we have to fall back on, right? The contingencies.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can also withdraw the offer. They told me that they probably wouldn't accept the offer until 48 hours. They also told me they weren't going to list the house until Monday, and then they went and listed it today.
It's Wednesday. What the hell, guys?
Yeah. Our realtor thinks because we showed a lot of interest, they decided to go ahead and list it.
So it's our fault. So here's how we rebuttal that. We give them a super low offer.
A low offer doesn't make sense, though. We literally set the comp.
But it's a smaller house, right?
No. Just one less bedroom.
Oh, same square footage, one less bedroom.
Same square footage, same number of rooms, one less bedroom. Because the office doesn't have a closet and a door.
Oh, I see.
Our office has a closet and a door.
I see. Is it the same floor plan then?
Mirrored, but yeah.
Mirrored.
Yeah, like
Was that
literally the
an
front
option?
doors of the two houses are 7 feet apart.
Oh my God. Did the guy just put in a closet in that house, or was it like an option when these are being built?
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Like, do we budget for that?
I don't know,
Like
but I don't think a 4-bedroom is going to really affect it that much. Our realtor didn't seem to think that a 4 versus a 3 was really going to have that big of an effect. You know, he was trying to think of ways that we could justify lowering the offer price, and it was like he was like, maybe that, but like a 4-2 versus a 3-2, like you don't see a whole lot of shift there. Now a 2-1 or a 2-2 versus a 3-2, that's a big difference. But like 4-2 versus 3-2, especially given the 4 and the 4-2 is really just an office. It's not a very big bedroom.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing he said was like the kitchen was a little bit dated, and I agree, but I don't. You know, like the only other house in this neighborhood that's for sale is listed at $295. So like we'd have to, and like if it was a property appraiser and I was comping this house, I don't think I'm dinging it any more than $5,000 tops. And $5,000 is not something I think, one, it's not something that massively affects our cash flow on the property. It like affects it like maybe $1 a month, maybe $2 whenever I ran the numbers. But I think going 5,000 below list has a massive psychological impact on the seller versus getting what you asked for.
Well, I might as well make an offer.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Obviously, I mean that was pretty obvious. I think I've been trying to buy this house for like a month.
I mean, if we put an offer in, we should know.
I was hoping we could avoid realtors, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, they had to be a bunch of jerks about it.
No, I get it. It was this guy's mom. They, she was getting old. They moved her to an assisted living place, and he didn't want to deal with it, and I get it. Very nice guy. Him and my dad have gotten along really well so far.
Yeah, we should put in an offer.
Cool. As soon as Tracy tells me that I can do that, I will. Tracy's our mortgage broker, by the way.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, she's awesome. So I'm going to talk to her tomorrow and figure out what I need to get a pre-approval, and hopefully, I think the only thing that concerns me potentially is my debt-to-income ratio. Improving that out, but I think I was still pretty decent on the last house. But I now have 2 mortgages on my name, so I got to be able to justify that. So cash reserves isn't a problem. All that other stuff isn't a problem. It's really the debt to income. So I may have to do a little bit more work to justify what my income is.
Oh, I see. At what point we had talked about this? At what point do you just like can you have a business getting the mortgage, or are we always going to be doing it ourselves?
I hope we're not going to do it ourselves. It's like a ridiculously overly complex thing. Who was I talking to the other day about this? I don't know. I was talking to someone the other day about this, and I'm like, I would just rather pay more on my mortgage than go through this effort.
Yeah.
So that's
Trying
going
to
to be
make sure
something I'm
the
talking
cash
to
is
Tracy
there.
about, right? Because we're basically break even on the other property, but it's paying for itself. It's paying the mortgage. So if they can take that into account, they may or may not be able to take that into account, especially since we don't have a history of that paying for itself yet. Maybe that'll go in our favor, but we can update next week on how things are going. Or not next week, actually. We have a guest next week, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, we do.
Dude owns a McLaren, so that's cool. I posted that Corvette
take
video,
that.
and he was in the comments trying to convince me to buy the Corvette. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
But so I asked him in the comments, and I asked, and we'll get into this in more detail, but I asked him, I'm like, so you bought the McLaren, what financial situation were you in when you bought the McLaren? And he said it was his first year making $1 million in the year, and he was financially independent. I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I think that is a reasonable.
I am not financially independent yet, and I am not making $1 million a year yet. But I did make my first 2 angel investments.
Oh, you did?
I did, yeah. It's through Angel List, the syndicates on there. So
Nice.
it's not like full-on angel investments, but a little bit. So those should clear the bank account tomorrow or the day after, and will be officially an angel investor.
Can you talk about like which industries you are investing in?
Yeah, I can't give many details on it. I put $1,000 in each. Both of them are seed round. One is in the streaming space
Okay.
for a specific niche. I'm assuming I can talk about the company. Worst thing is they just kick me off the platform. Who cares? I'm not going to talk about any of the financials or anything like that. Like, not sharing any decks or anything. But, like, the company's, like, there's no reason you couldn't talk about that. So the streaming one is effectively Twitch for fitness streamers. So think Patreon with Twitch for fitness people. So you can run live remote fitness courses and get compensated for it, which I thought was freaking great. I have a friend who's basically doing that on Instagram right now. She's doing like weekly fitness courses with like her friends and followers and things, and I thought that was really interesting. And the dude that is one of the founders of it, he used to work at Twitch. The other one, what was the other one? The other one was a company that is basically selling software to banks to enable them to provide a more gamified saving experience for their customers. So think a little bit like Yotta Bank. Not quite.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Not quite Yotta Bank, but same concept, except instead of them being the bank, they sell the software to banks. So now think you have a Chase Bank or Bank of America, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, yeah, Yotta Bank's cool, but we can do that too. And you don't have to move your money. So
you don't have to move banks.
I invested there too.
Very cool.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, $1,000 each, so had to pull a little bit out of BlockFi. I'm up to 3,500 in crypto now.
The crypto train continues.
It does continue. It's got a bit of a slowdown here at all-time highs, but I am. Why do you make me log in so much? First, it was interest payday yesterday, which is the best day when you're making 8.6%. But then crypto's been on a tear. Interest on your crypto is interesting because they pay you, like on Bitcoin, you get 6% against your Bitcoin balance, right? But because Bitcoin's price against the dollar fluctuates, your actual interest that you make in USD it fluctuates.
Oh.
So that was kind of an interesting experience. But yeah, basically what I've been doing is I've been taking the Meet Kevin approach, but for crypto. Every day that I wake up and it's a red day, I put $100 to $300 more in. And I'm basically going to do that until I'm at about 5% of my total portfolio. So I'm at currently about $3,700 in total. $1,500 in Bitcoin, $2,200 to $2,300 in Ether.
Not bad.
Yeah, so it's getting up there. That's for sure.
That's kind of fun. Completely new type of investment.
There's a very good podcast on Bitcoin that I'm in the middle of listening to. It's again from that we interview billionaires podcast. They started a new series called the Bitcoin podcast in that same podcast. So it's episode BF001 if you're looking at the Investors Podcast Network. It's very good. The guy talks about why Bitcoin makes sense as a currency and all of the problems with fiat currency in general and how fiat currency is effectively a giant Ponzi scheme ran by the government. It's really fascinating. And he talks about like what makes a good currency and why the market, like for example, why the market selected gold. You know, the market selected gold as the currency. And what happened was it was hard to transact with because we had to authenticate it. So like, cool, why don't we print paper that's directly tied to that thing that we've all agreed on? And that worked great. And then they're like, yeah, but we'd like to kind of just do our own thing. So they cut that tie. And now it's just made up.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one, like, the market participants didn't necessarily select it as its currency. It was guided that way. It's a very interesting podcast. They go into some like very cool things and they dig into concepts around like, you know, common thing that people say is like, well, governments would never allow Bitcoin, right? But they're actually talking about like Supreme Court case law that basically sets precedent why the government can't prevent it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. I would definitely recommend listening to it if you're a finance nerd like me.
Now, the history aspect of it is fascinating because I never thought about why gold was the standard.
Yeah, it was, he had like 5 pillars of a currency. And I'm not going to remember all of them, but one of them was scarcity. And that's where gold kind of landed in there. Man, I said 5 and now I can't remember any of them. This is like really bad.
We gotta pull it up.
Pillars of currency. Let's see if I can find this. 5 pillars of money is what it's called. Cool. You're going to point me to an economic bulletin that I have to click view in full screen and click this. Okay. Pillar 1 is a social institution based on trust. Why don't you just give me a list? No, this isn't the right thing. I'll find it eventually, maybe. It was very interesting, though, and made a lot of sense why gold landed where it was, but also why Bitcoin is a better currency for the market than gold was. And a big part of that was its ease of transaction. Like I said, gold wasn't easy to transact with. One, it's freaking heavy.
Right.
Oh, one of the other pillars was divisibility, which is why gold was also in there because you could divide it. Again, you can also divide Bitcoin. With gold, when you transacted it, always had to be verified. So it made transacting in it very difficult. Again, where Bitcoin is very strong, there is no verification needed because it's implicit in the technology. It's fascinating, and I could go into like a lot more detail there, but it's probably not worth it. This has been a very serious podcast tonight.
We're getting down to business. It's a business podcast.
Yeah. So I was on the Millionaires Unveiled podcast last night, and I'm so excited. It was so much fun. It was super late, though. Yeah, I think like we start ours late, but theirs doesn't start for another 5 minutes. So it was like 9 to 10 o'clock my time. I'm like, oh,
wow. That's when it started. Holy shit.
Yeah. Luckily, they don't record theirs, so it didn't matter if I look like I'm exhausted like I do right now. No, it was really good. They've clearly done a lot of podcasts and interviewed a lot of people. They asked really interesting, good questions that I'm not going to go into right now because I want you to listen to the podcast when they release it. I'll let you know on here when I find out when they're going to release it. They said they're a little bit behind. They did offer to come on our podcast, so we're going to try and get them on this podcast at some point in the next month or two, because I think that'd be really awesome to talk to them about that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that's now like the second or third podcast I've been on in the last couple of months, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, you're big time podcast guy.
Yeah, I'm like marketing. Oh, okay.
Networking.
Game changing. I think we talked about this after the podcast last week. But so like whiskey is a part of this podcast, right? This podcast, we're running this like a business, right? It's not a business yet because it doesn't make revenue. Fair, I get that. I was talking with my accountant today because Justin and I had an idea after our podcast last week. We said, can we expense right off the whiskey that we buy for this?
The whiskey. It's part of the production.
So I threw that on my questions for my accountant list, and I talked to her today. And if we can definitively prove that this is a business, so effectively we need this to make revenue, we can write off whiskey. This is amazing. Now I'm not an accountant. This is just information that I learned from my accountant. Consult your own accountant before you go writing off booze with the IRS. She definitely indicated that we need to be above board on this because the IRS doesn't mess around. And I pay good money for a very good accountant, and you should too, because I pay very good money for a very good accountant, and yet I've never paid my accountant. So let that sink in. And then we're going to have to run some ads or something next year. So if you're interested in advertising on the Financial Illiterates podcast, please let us know. No, but really, we're going to need like a brand deal or something.
Yeah, that would be a great
Justin,
brand
your
deal.
mission next year is to get a brand deal with Henry McKenna. I'm serious. Make that your 2021 resolution.
That would be hilarious, actually.
Get a Henry McKenna brand deal. It doesn't have to be a long-running one. Just one episode, a Henry McKenna brand deal. That's what I want.
I mean, what would justify it if we just have one sponsor?
We just need to show that we make revenue. Like I told her, like if you looked at how we run this thing, it's obvious that we treat it like a business. You know, it's not treated like a hobby. Granted, it is also kind of our hobby, but it's treated like a business. We just don't make revenue yet to justify writing anything off against the revenue.
Right.
So yeah, we need to start bringing in revenue. And I think if we, like I mentioned before, YouTube monetization is not going to be good on this channel because one, it takes a lot to get there. A lot of watch time, a lot of subscribers, but we also cuss and we drink on this podcast. So like the CPM is going to be horrible. So I think brand deal type things are the things that are going to make the most sense. But also like we can show revenue through like referral programs and stuff too, if we set those up properly so that we can isolate them to this podcast.
This particular.
Yeah.
Dude, I think we could get a whiskey sponsor. That's a challenge.
That would be so cool.
I'm looking at the Henry McKenna brand. I mean, Heaven Hill has quite a few different whiskeys under there.
Some of my favorite whiskeys. They have this. They have the
the
Elijah Craig small batch. I think it was small batch, right? Single barrel, I think it was. That was very good. Yeah, they have some good stuff over there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool, actually. And you guys will get to go with us on the journey of trying to get a whiskey sponsorship for this podcast. By you guys, I mean...
You guy.
Guy?
Or girl.
Yeah. I mean, it says one concurrent viewer, but it said that since I launched it, so I don't know if it's actually a person there or not.
We've always had one.
Yeah. Anything else you want to catch up on tonight on the podcast?
I don't know.
I figured tonight was going to be a short
biggest...
one because we both kind of forgot it even was happening tonight.
Yeah.
We got a couple of big podcasts coming up, though. Next week's going to be a lot of fun. Talking with, oh boy, I should know his name, but I'm pretty sure his name was Rob. That sounds right. Rob sounds right. Rob, who owns a McLaren and clearly makes $1 million a year. So that'll be fascinating to dig into that. And then hopefully we'll have the millionaires unveiled on the podcast soon. We're also going to have Jack Duffley, a law student and fellow finance YouTuber on the podcast soon too. Him and I are both reviewing each other's portfolios on our respective YouTube channels. So he's going to review my portfolio on his channel. I'm reviewing his portfolio on my channel. He's trying to get to $1 million in net worth before he's 30. He's 23 right now. And already thinking about this stuff, so it makes me depressed when I talk to him. But he's a great guy, and we're going to have him on the podcast soon too.
Man, you're what, like 20 years older than him by now?
Don't worry about it.
Just about 20. That's crazy.
Just 10 years, dude.
20, that's wild.
Do your math right. No wonder you don't have any money.
20 years. Well, you have another, what, like 10 years on me, so.
That's not true.
Just well ahead.
No, it's not true. I have like 3 years on you.
I am now connecting to people working at Heaven Hill on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
So the networking is beginning.
How did it go? Did you ever reach out to the BMW people?
Oh, yeah. No one responds.
Oh, okay. For context, for anyone listening, there's that dope photo behind Justin's head. And he actually went and had that printed out himself because he couldn't get it in the U.S. So I told him to reach out to the people at BMW and see if he could get the rights for it. Yeah, you'll get it.
BMW is just too big. It's too big.
Yeah, it is. So they released the pricing of the AMG Black. Did you see that?
Oh, they're making a Black Series GTR?
That's the one that took the Nürburgring record.
Nürburgring.
Yep. It took the record. They just released pricing, and it's only $325,000.
Whoa, that is a fucking badass car. That is a badass car.
Do you know my favorite thing though? So like, I mean, everyone here knows I want an AMG GTR, and like, it just took the record, so of course I want that one. I tell Kimmy that they released the pricing for it, and she's like, "Oh, how much is it?" And I said $325,000. She's like, "That doesn't seem that bad for that." I'm like, "Cool. We're not going to talk about this anymore until I buy one."
What sweeter words have been said? Wow, isn't that crazy? With your potential stock sale, you could just buy one.
Don't even put that in my head, Justin.
I'm surprised you didn't even think about that. That's good that you didn't.
No, I didn't think about it. No, because my goal is to be able to afford the payment for that car with investment income. That's that's like the level of like reward that I want to get to, is like when my investment income can pay for that payment, that's when.
That was one thing I loved that Graham Stephan said. That his investments usually pay for things like this.
No, that stock sale is going to pay for getting the rest of our house finished remodeling, because like it's just such a big like cognitive and emotional overhead for me right now. And like we bought this house. Yeah, we bought this house intending to remodel it because that's what makes the investment make sense. But then also it's just like a lot of like, like our master bathroom is actually unusable currently. So we don't use our master bathroom. Our master bathroom is like 400 square feet. We don't use it.
Jeez.
So like part of it's to finish that. The other part of it is to launch you and I on our way towards our 10 goal on real estate.
Tentacle. Yeah. That is a worthy
we
cause.
won't be able to do Monaco next year, but 2022 Monaco is in sight.
It kind of is.
It's
especially
in sight.
if we close on this other one.
This cash that I get from this, we should be able to have a total of 5 after this cash. Once we get a total of 5, I think we can get a line of credit from our lender to start potentially buying things that way.
There it is.
Plus, we still have the private money route we can go.
For the sake of the exercise, how much do you need every month from investments to pay for this?
I don't know. I haven't ran payment calculations for $325,000.
Hold on. Let's do some math. How much is it?
$325,000. That's the base model. I don't know what the upgrades are, but that's the base model.
We're gonna round up. We're gonna say $350.
That sounds good.
It's $6,300 a month.
Yeah.
Man, if I had $6,300,
$75,000 a year. So like above median American salary a year.
You would have that.
That's the
your investments
dream,
would be covering just
that.
that.
That is the dream. The American dream right there in action, buying a German car.
The funny thing is you have to have triple or quadruple that to cover, other expenses that you want to plan for.
Nah.
That blows my mind. $6,300.
What blows my mind is software engineering consulting. I didn't tell you this. So, I had that consulting gig that paid me $5,000 for really not that much work. It's great. Always charge project based whenever you're doing consulting. Always. It wasn't like an unfair price to them, but it was a good price. They came back to me with a couple more edits. They were really small things. $750 I'm gonna get for. I mean, if all goes well, like 4 hours of my time.
It's not bad.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I can keep. I'm hoping they continually need work, and I can just keep using that. Like learning how to code, and then especially if you're someone that can actually build a client list and work that client list, man, you'd be unstoppable. I've never been good at building a client list and managing it. I just got lucky on this one, but you can make some real money that way right now.
Maybe more consulting is in the horizon.
I have too many things on the horizon. Too many things. All right, well, I think this week's going to be a short podcast. I think we're going to start wrapping it up here. Now you guys know how we're thinking about this property. We'll let you know how that goes. I'll probably be making an offer tomorrow, I would guess. And then hopefully we'll have an answer by Friday or Monday. And then maybe we'll have our second house, and they're only like 10 feet from each other, which makes property management a lot easier. We should, one of our next podcasts where we don't have a guest, we should do like a retrospective on what we learned through this first investment. I think that would be really useful because we learned a lot.
Yeah,
but
we did.
That's for another time. Thank you for joining us, any of you people that actually did, and any of you people 30 years out that are going to in the future and currently present because you are watching it. Think about that one.
30 years from now.
Let's see, 30 years from now, I'll still probably be alive, so hit me up on twitter.com/Schrobrock, Gustin Jabriel.
I hope Twitter is around still.
Twitter, how could Twitter not be around?
I don't know, man.
I think there's like even if the company shut down, people just keep that around. It's the most real platform, I feel like. Anyways,
it's a staple. It's a staple.
I'd really appreciate it. Anyone that is watching these and enjoying these, and especially someone that made it 40 minutes in on this one, hit the like button and subscribe and share this with anyone that you think might find it interesting to watch just two guys talk about absolute random nonsense and get drunk every week. Okay. That's it. You have anything else to say, Justin?
No.
No? All right.
Let's go get Trey that AMG GTR Black Series.
Let's do it.